Well, let's take you through the stories we're tracking at this hour. We start with the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway gridlock. Motorist and economic activities suffer early on Monday as the gridlock along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway worsened due to the ongoing road rehabilitation along the axis. According to some motorists and commuters who spoke to IBrandTV's business editor Franco Malape off camera, the untarred roads should have been graded to serve as alternative routes. Citing robbery incidents which was recorded recently, they however tasked the government to address the worsening state of traffic along the route. And now the value of manufactured goods traded tumbled by 36% from 4.51 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2021 to 2.87 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2022. This is according to the foreign trade report by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) for the second quarter of the year and its corresponding quarter of 2021. Foreign trade statistics measure goods traded between an economic entity and its economic counterparts within a given period. The fall in the value of traded manufactured goods came as manufacturers continue to grapple with skyrocketing costs and a harsh operating environment. Exports of manufactured goods also took a downward plunge within the period under review, from 211.67 billion recorded in 2021 to 119.53 billion naira in 2022, representing a 43.5% decline in 12 months. And now the Central Bank of Nigeria sold $4.86 billion worth of foreign exchange to authorized dealers in the first quarter of 2022. This is indicative of a 5.8% decrease compared with the previous quarter, according to its latest economic and statistical report for the first quarter of 2022. The central bank's sale of foreign exchange is done to stabilize the naira. However, analysts say the stability of the official exchange rate comes at a cost to the reserves as the central bank sells foreign exchange in the official window from its external reserves. Well, despite multiple interventions by the Central Bank of Nigeria to defend the naira fell by 22 naira in the first quarter of 2022. The average turnover at investors and exporters, that is the I&E segment, declined by 35.8% relative to the previous quarter, reflecting decreased liquidity in the window. And finally, Nigeria lost about 13.21 million barrels of crude oil with an estimated worth of 603.64 billion naira between January and August this year, according to the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. Total crude oil production without condensates in January, for instance, was 43.35 million barrels, but this dropped to 35.22 million barrels in February, indicating a loss of 8.13 million barrels. It moved up in March, increasing by 3.14 million barrels to close at 38.36 million barrels in the third month of 2022. This, however, was not sustained as production dropped to 36.58 million barrels in April, and the country lost 1.78 million barrels in that month. The losses continued in May after oil production crashed to 31.76 million barrels, representing a loss of 4.82 million barrels when compared to what was produced the preceding month. It increased in June to 34.75 million barrels, representing an oil production gain of 2.99 million barrels. But that was short-lived, as output fell again in July to 33.6 million barrels, meaning the country lost 1.15 million barrels in July. The oil production losses persisted in August, crashing further to 30.14 million barrels, representing a loss of 3.46 million barrels. Well, these are the stories we're tracking at this hour, and I'm joined by Charles Fakroha, a stockbroker and business analyst. He joins me right now. He's right there with me in the studio. So we'll be looking at these top 4 stories. I think we should start from the very beginning. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway gridlock. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, good morning, viewers. Good morning, Perpetua.
Good morning. Good to have you.
Yes, it's just timely. You can see how I experienced that traffic issue,
When it's raining, I think a lot of persons are probably stuck in traffic right now.
But again, this is not the first time.
Yeah.
And the issue has been made worse because of the construction that is going on. And you can see people have been stuck in that traffic for more than 4 hours now. And so imagine if there's an emergency and somebody is stuck in that traffic. what will happen.
Oh, that's not good.
Then this is not the first time you are doing this kind of a thing. And we know that, you know, when you are constructing a road, you create an alternative, no matter how small it is, that commuters can make use of. For every bus stop today as we still speak, commuters are stranded. If you are on your car, you are trapped in that traffic. This is Monday morning, and I expect the authorities to know that we have heavy traffic on a Monday morning. If it was during the week or middle of the week, one will understand, but we shouldn't say this has taken the authorities, you know, off guard. No, it all shows that there is no proper planning.
But when we look at it again, it could also be as a result of the rain. The rain must have contributed, you know, to a large extent.
Agreed, yes. The rain has... Is it the first time we're having rain in Lagos?
Well, not.
So, it goes to show, when it's raining in Lagos, then all of us, me and you, should just sit there in our house. We shouldn't do anything. Is that what we are saying?
I think what we should be talking about now is how to address this issue,
exactly.
really, whether it rains or not. What is responsible for that? Why do we have floods? Why do we have traffic congestion whenever it rains? That should probably be one of the questions now.
Exactly. You know, one, it shows that there's no proper planning on the part of the government, because in this case, what do we expect the commuters to do? Then, in terms of the flooding, I saw that flooding. It was massive. Not only Lagos, Ibadan, all over Lagos now. Okay? Fortunately, I was coming from Amuodofi. We're doing Festac and what they call Sikor Rainbow. Everywhere is flooded. Yes, Festac we're a little bit lucky because some of the drainage are still okay. Immediately the rain will subside, you see that the flood will go. When the rain continues, the flood, you know. But, again, it's our own attitude. I have taken my time to observe certain roads in Lagos, certain neighborhood, and I see how irresponsible all of us have become. Yes, educated, illiterate, all of us, business owners, all of us. You just look at, I don't know what is manhole they call those things, when you look at, you see through, it's all filled
manhole.
With, yes, it's all filled with what? Garbage, bottled water, pure water, everything. Where do you expect the water to go when it rains?
You know, when we talk about this having drainage and all of that, this also has a lot to do with planning. Exactly. And I want to believe that we have agencies of government who are also in charge of this. Okay, so before people build houses, and they're supposed to go through that agency, and they're supposed to obtain approval, or is it that they skip that agency, and if they skip that agency, what is the agency doing? Sitting down and not doing anything? And then we also know that the meteorological agency usually comes up with some of this forecast, talking about how that talking about how that certain things may you know, upset the country or the states and all of that. But it would seem that not enough is put into planning so that we can, you know, mitigate the impact or the effect of this flooding.
Okay, well, let me just say, I would disagree with you. We don't have flooding. It's drainage problem. You see what happened in Pakistan? That is flooding. Or maybe somewhere in Jigawa, that's flooding. Right now in Lagos today, it is drainage problem. All the drainage are blocked. And like I said, the government has a responsibility to, but me and you as individuals, we're not conscious of our environment. You are driving on the road, you just finish your bottled water, you just throw it. They all going to accumulate somewhere and block the little drainage that has been done. Yes, I agree with you. The authorities should, when people are building their houses, they should ensure they meet up standards, drainage and all that. Even where you have those drainages, they are already blocked. I can't speak for the express, you know, but again, this whether in the express, in the neighborhood, everywhere is blocked. And that's why I'm saying people like us have taken upon ourselves that environmentally conscious, we are zero. And that is the problem we are having today. Any little rain, everybody's running helter-skelter, and you can see the number of man-hours that is being wasted.
I was coming to the economic impact of what's happening right now on the road.
Yes, people are supposed to be in the office at 8 a.m. are still stuck in traffic. What happened to the business of their day or business of the day? What happened? If you are in an essential service, you're a medical doctor or you work in a media house, what happened to your program? The viewers are, you know, In fact, just to even let you know, some persons will not be able to get to their office.
Well,
because of flood.
I think there is a whole lot here.
And let me just even say something.
Okay.
There was a time, I would mention the name of the media house, they could not produce because of flooding. A guest that didn't even know was saying, okay, I have a program for a day somewhere in Lagos. And when she got to the place, they told her, because of flood, they can't get to the office, nothing can be done. No production for that day. So you can see
you know, we're
the impact
talking,
of the economy.
okay.
It has a major impact on our economy and businesses, and we must begin to address in terms of becoming conscious of our environment. When you drive on the road, don't just throw your
It's all right. We really have to move on.
Okay,
I mean, we didn't even get to talk about what the motorists are facing and how that's
so our colleagues are trapped there. If you're not aware, they are trapped there. So what do we do?
Okay, let's look at the manufacturing sector. We have it right here that the value of manufactured goods traded tumbled by 36%. That means it fell by 36%. Does that worry or bother you?
Yes, of course. We know that the Nigerian economy is really suffering, and you can see manufactured goods. You know, we are even comparing last year and just this year. So you can see it was a little bit better last year. You know, today, this year now, they are comparing. I think it's the second quarter. Things are down by how many percent? 36%, which shows that the economy has gone down so much that it's really impacting on businesses. And what is the issue? Rising cost of production. As a result of maybe high cost of diesel, operating environment, and it's just so difficult that most of these manufacturers are closing shop.
And that's
what
sad.
happens? What happens? They will tell workers to go home. And you can't blame these manufacturers because they cannot continue to keep, if their costs keep going up, they can't make enough revenue to keep the workers. And the employment will increase.
Skyrocket.
And we know the implication when it comes to, in terms of security. We already have a security issue. With all this now, it will begin to increase our problem. So it's a very major issue. Like you said, we should be looking at the solution to these problems. And what are some of the solutions? Well, government will tell you they have started something, they are doing this, but that operating environment needs to be improved in terms of power. I wanted to even praise the government that the power issue is like we're having more power these days now, but all of a sudden it went down again. So you can see that we need a holistic, consistent way of looking at this issue.
Let me come in here. We know that the CBN has actually tried through what it calls development financing, you know, by giving soft loans, or let's say cheap loans to players in this particular industry. Do you think that hasn't worked yet, or are we saying that the other challenges, the other variables are overshadowing whatever gains we're supposed to record from that development financing that is being extended to this sector?
Yes, if you know, in the past, the CBNs that we used to know then were not so much involved in development financing. But this particular CBN governor has seen the need. And like you said, he has done quite a lot. But yes, it would have been worse if not from some of those interventions. Yes, it would have been worse. But thank God that they have intervened and we are seeing, but we still need to do more so that we can kickstart our economy. It is really a very bad situation.
I think another variable which is very important probably takes us to the third story, which is about Forex. CBN selling 4.86 billion to authorized dealers. There are those who have said that to a very large extent the CBN is probably trying in its own way to deal with the issue of Forex scarcity, and that is why it is in the I and E window to ensure that some persons or some sector players, you know, get this money accessible, that it's accessible and of course at cheaper rate. But at the end of the day, it's affecting our foreign reserve.
Yes, that is one big problem, you know. That is trying to defend the naira and at the expense of our reserve. And you know, when your reserve is down, of course, it also affects the value of your currency at the end of the day. Yes, CBN is trying to do a balancing act. Okay, we need to support some persons using that window, and we are going to do that using the reserve. Now, CBN need to monitor those persons they have assisted using that window so that the objective of why they were assisted the economy will feel it. But
you just mentioned something that's very important.
Yes.
I mean, there are those who are talking about round tripping. That some of these people, they get this money, so at the end of the day, they don't use them for what they say they want to use them for, and then that same money gets to the BDCs at the end of the day, and it just keeps going around in circles.
That is why it is so difficult to begin to address the Nigerian economic problem, because the players at times themselves, there's no value, and that is why CBN need to put control in place. For all those you are giving that kind of intervention, you should ensure that you also have your own control mechanism. And anyone who is caught doing what he's not supposed to do, of course, should be named and shamed. And of course, for me, it's an economic crime. And,
it is.
And they should be
sabotage.
Yes, and they should be arrested and face prosecution. That is the way I see it. Because if the government is using a special window to assist you so that you can kickstart your production, do this monies, get what you want to get, and yet those assistance is being diverted to other places for you to now benefit illegally
at the expense of every other person.
It is an economic crime. I don't even say sabotage. It's an economic crime. So the agencies that are supposed to investigate, prosecute those crimes should swing into action and begin to arrest some persons. Yes. So that they can serve as a deterrent to others.
Exactly. Well, now we're looking at crude oil. Nigeria losing 603.64 billion naira revenue in 8 months. This is as a result of, the depreciation. Maybe not necessarily.
Production level.
Yes, the drop in the production level. It keeps dropping. Why are we having this drop at a time we're supposed to even make more? Looking at the price of crude oil,
yes.
Even though the price is coming down a little now, but when the price was, well above $100, it felt like we didn't utilize that particular period.
Again, well, it's like I don't want to become a broken record.
But it's Nigeria, so we always have to
say that leadership. I'm even tired of the leadership now.
Okay.
Yeah, because one will say there is a minister in that ministry.
The minister who doubles as the president.
As the president,
okay.
I also have an assistant, a minister for states. You have the old DPR, which is now the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. They are there. That is, their job is to ensure that our production targets, we at least, if not meeting it 100%, let us get clear. But look at the figures keep going down.
But what is responsible for this drop?
One, we have said that crude oil theft is there.
Is it a big masquerade that cannot be unraveled?
Yes, if you speak to some of the industry experts, I've had some roundtable with them as a finance person. Some of them will tell you it is not only crude oil thefts that we are bandaging all over in the media. Obsolete equipment. Some of this equipment are so old. So the capacity of this equipment, this production, is not meeting modern day reality. That's what they tell you, that government is not investing more in this equipment. That is what the experts will tell you. Crude oil production has gone sophisticated, and our capacity has to also improve. We talk of local content. Yes, but these oil companies have international standards. But for our own government, the equipment is so crude that we are not improving. And some of them will tell you some of this equipment, all these facilities have been there for the past 20, 30 years. What happened to maintenance culture? What happened to, changing some of this equipment? The engineers are there, and this is what they are telling you. That is not only oil theft. There are other problems involved.
That should be tackled.
Yes,
but
for oil theft,
you have said, really takes the center stage.
It takes the center stage. You have said crude oil theft for me shouldn't even be a problem, because somebody will say, when you carry crude oil from tankers and all that, it's not a matchbox. These are something. It's not a match. It's something very huge that anybody can see. You can even monitor from wherever you are using satellite and all that. That one can be taken care of. But the issue of obsolete equipment is also a problem in that sector. And
of course, the monitoring of the pipelines also, and also ensuring that these pipelines are, foolproof.
Yes, like we say, we have given contract to somebody, to an expert, to monitor and see that the crude in the pipes, maybe they are still looking at some, maybe it's in the pipeline. You know,
All
maybe that's why.
I think we need to stop the conversation here.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right.